I never thought I'd be standing on a courthouse steps at 73 years old, clutching a folder of documents with trembling hands, fighting to reclaim the home I'd built with my own 2 hands 50 years ago. But there I was, and this is how it happened. My name is Frank Morrison, and I used to think I knew my daughter. The morning Jennifer told me to leave, I was in my workshop behind the house, sanding down a rocking chair I'd been making for my first great-grandchild. The wood shavings curled beneath my plane like golden ribbons, and I remember thinking how peaceful everything felt, how wrong I was. "Dad, we need to talk." Jennifer stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, her expression harder than I'd seen in years. Behind her lurked that boyfriend of hers, Derek, a man who'd wormed his way into her life 6 months after my wife Margaret passed away. "Sure, honey, let me just finish this section." "Now, Dad." The tone made me set down my tools. In 48 years of being her father, Jennifer had never spoken to me like that. I followed her into the house, wiping sawdust from my flannel shirt, completely unprepared for what came next. "You need to move out," she said flatly, standing in the living room where Margaret and I had celebrated every Christmas, every birthday, every milestone of our lives together. I actually laughed. "What are you talking about? This house is in my name now, has been for 2 years. You signed it over to me for estate planning, remember? Well, Derek and I are getting married, and we need the space. You've got 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live." The room tilted. I gripped the back of Margaret's favorite chair, the one she'd nursed Jennifer in as a baby, the one she'd sat in during her final months. "Jennifer, I signed the house over to you so you wouldn't have to deal with probate when I die. That was your idea, remember? You said it would make things easier, protect the family home. I never thought." 2 weeks, Dad. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Derek needs a home office, and honestly, you're taking up too much space. Maybe it's time you moved into one of those senior communities anyway. Make some friends your own age." Derek smirked from the doorway. That smirk told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't Jennifer's idea, not entirely. This man had seen an opportunity, an old widower, a house worth $500,000 in today's market, and a daughter too blinded by new love to see she was being manipulated. I should have fought back right then. Instead, I felt my age crash over me like a wave. I was 73, tired, still grieving my Margaret. The fight drained out of me. "Please, Jennifer, this is my home. Where would I even go?" "That's not my problem anymore, Dad." Those words, from the little girl I'd rocked to sleep, taught to ride a bike, walked down the aisle at her first wedding, they broke something in me. I packed my bags that night, filled 2 suitcases with clothes, grabbed my photo albums and Margaret's jewelry box, and moved into a cheap motel on the edge of town. I'd call friends, I thought, figure something out, but the shock paralyzed me. For 3 days, I barely ate. I'd stare at the water-stained motel ceiling and wonder how I'd ended up here. On the 4th day, my old friend Robert came looking for me. He'd heard through the neighborhood grapevine what happened. "Frank, what the hell are you doing in this dump?" He looked around the motel room with disgust. "I don't have anywhere else to go, Rob." "The hell you don't, that's your house. You built it, you paid for it. Your name might not be on the deed anymore, but you've got rights." Jennifer's made up her mind. Jennifer's being played by that con artist boyfriend, and you know it. Get up, Frank. Margaret wouldn't let you roll over like this, and you know it. He was right. Margaret would have been furious, at Jennifer, at Derek, but mostly at me for giving up. So I got up, showered for the first time in days, and went to see a lawyer. Attorney Sarah Chen listened to my story with growing anger. She pulled out her notepad and started writing furiously. "Mr. Morrison, your daughter can't just kick you out. The house may be in her name, but you have what's called a life estate based on the circumstances. You transferred the property with the understanding you'd live there for the rest of your life. That's an implied agreement. Plus, you've been contributing to utilities, maintenance, everything. We can fight this." Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in a week. Sarah filed an emergency motion, and within 10 days, we were in court. Jennifer showed up with Derek and a lawyer who looked as slimy as Derek's smirk. They argued I'd given up all rights when I transferred the deed. Their lawyer painted me as a burden, a stubborn old man refusing to accept reality. Then Sarah presented her case. She showed receipts proving I'd paid for a new roof 2 years ago, for the HVAC system, for property taxes I'd continued covering. She brought in neighbors who testified they'd never heard me mention moving out, that I'd always referred to it as my home. She even found the email thread where Jennifer had suggested the estate planning, explicitly promising, "Nothing would change, Dad, you'll live here as long as you want." But the moment that changed everything came when Sarah called Jennifer to the stand. "Ms. Morrison, when did you first discuss asking your father to leave?" "About 3 weeks ago." "And who initiated that conversation?" Jennifer hesitated, glancing at Derek. "It was a mutual decision between Derek and me." "I see, and how long have you known Derek?" 10 months. 10 months, Sarah repeated. "And in that time has Derek moved into the house?" "He stays there sometimes." "Does he contribute to the mortgage, utilities, or property maintenance?" Silence. "Ms. Morrison, your father paid for a $16,000 roof replacement while the house was in your name. Did you contribute to that expense?" "No, but he wanted to." "Did he, or did he pay for it because it's his home and he takes care of his home?" Jennifer's composure cracked. Tears started streaming down her face, and I saw my little girl again, not the cold stranger who'd evicted me, but the daughter I'd raised. "I don't know what I was thinking," she whispered. "Derek said Dad would be happier with people his own age. He said the house was too big for him. He said we needed to think about our future." The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Ms. Morrison, did you actually want your father to leave, or were you pressured into this decision?" Jennifer broke down completely. "I miss my mom. Dad misses her too, and sometimes it's hard being in that house with all her things. Derek made it sound like we were helping Dad move on, but I didn't want him to go. I just didn't know how to say no to Derek." The courtroom went silent. The judge looked at me, then at Jennifer, then at Derek, who suddenly looked very interested in his shoes. "Mr. Morrison, would you be willing to return to your home if the court orders it?" "Your Honor, it's the only home I've ever wanted." She nodded. "Then here's my ruling. Mr. Morrison retains the right to reside in the property for the remainder of his natural life. The deed remains in Ms. Morrison's name for estate purposes, but she cannot sell, rent, or otherwise dispose of the property without her father's written consent. Furthermore," she glared at Derek, "no additional occupants may move into the property without Mr. Morrison's approval." The gavel came down. Jennifer met me outside the courthouse. Derek had already left, probably for good. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me." I hugged her tight. "You were lonely, honey. We both were, but we have to stick together. That's what family does. Can you forgive me?" I thought of Margaret, of all the times she'd forgiven me for being stubborn or foolish. "Already have, sweetheart. Let's go home." We walked to the parking lot together, and for the first time since Margaret died, I felt like I had my daughter back. The house would always be just wood and nails, but family, real family, that's what makes anywhere a home.